Hello. It's nice to meet you and great to be with people that love the Lord. And you know, every time I go on a bus, I have 50 new people in my hands. And I never know where they come from, where they've been, or where they're going. But you know what? By the time they leave my bus, they sure the heck know where I've been. They know where I've been and they know where I'm going. And I'm going to tell you that the current 50 years of my life have not been the best Christian ways that they should be. But boy, am I excited about the next 50. Because they're going to definitely be driven by the Lord. So you know, a few years ago, Miss Kathy came on board. And she came to see what is this Suitcase Dreams about. And I took her off the Cape Cod. And what I remember so clearly is her saying to me, you know, Julie, I knew right away when you opened in prayer that we were in good hands. And you know, it has just been such a blessing and such a dream of mine, but it really came from something that wasn't so pretty. But my story starts out much like many people. I'm actually a Southern Baptist girl, so you're dealing with a Baptist right here. You know what that means. But I was born and had raised in the state of Florida, and when I was a very young girl, I walked down that aisle, and I was saved. And all the announcements went out that Randy and Carla's little girl got saved. Everybody, let's do some fellowship and have a good old time, because in Baptist, that's what fellowship means, food. Yes. But honestly, you guys, my life did not stay that way. I never really desired to have church in it, but I am so thankful that I was rooted in a church. So I knew what to come back to. I knew the stories that I was told, but I never really read them in the Bible. And I never really lived my life that way. I was very much like Frank Sinatra, and I lived it my way. And it was a hard, rough road. There were marital problems, there were financial problems, there were health problems, there were weight problems, there were problems, but it was my way. It was my plan. And then, so be it, about 10 years ago, God put a new thing in front of me, and I had this desire to come up with Suitcase Dreams and go traveling around the world, and I thought this would just be the funnest thing in the world to do. And you know what? It was. It was so wonderful, and I loved it so much. But I also worked in a factory in Grand Rapids here, managing a maintenance team. Let me tell you, when you walked into my office, you never knew me as a Christian. Every other word out of my mouth was not a pretty one. You couldn't walk in and know that I loved the Lord, because again, I wasn't living my life like that. I don't know, I can say this because I'm a Baptist, but maybe you've heard the term about Baptist folks that they have a license to sin. Have you ever heard that? It's kind of a loose term, and what it means is we kind of take it literally when we say, once saved, always saved. If you're saved, you're going to heaven. And unfortunately, most of my life, it was kind of that way, and I was missing something. And it was that relationship with the Lord. I didn't have that. I was praying, because I know that's what I was supposed to do. But what is this that people talk about, this relationship with the Lord? So I continued my journey through my job, and I worked up the ladder. I got to management. It was a great job. And like I say, 10 years ago, I started doing the traveling on the side. And again, my plan was that it would be a side gig, and I'd retire into it, taking you nice folks around the world. And I loved it, and it kept growing and growing and growing and getting better and better, and more people wanted me to be doing it, but I had 4 weeks vacation at the factory. And I would spend all 4 weeks on the road because I wanted to keep building up this wonderful dream of mine. But every obstacle was in the way. I insured my family. I was making the main income of the family. There was not a way I could actually do Suitcase Dreams like I'd like to, but this factory was killing me. It was just killing me. And then I would be on the road. I'd come home at 10 o'clock at night. I'd get up at 4 a.m. I'd drive to Grand Rapids. I'd be my little management self, and then I'd get back on the road. And then suddenly I was looking in the mirror, and I just couldn't recognize the woman that was there anymore. I just had burned those candles at both ends for way too long, and finally, what does the Bible say that God will do? He will bring you through a crisis. He will take you through that crisis, and he will build you and make you what you need to be for the people in front of you. And I got down on my knees, and it wasn't pretty. I said, I can't do this anymore. I don't know where you are. I know what I want to do. I know it's not lining up for me. I don't know what to do. You figure it out. Because I can't do this anymore. And I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to live every waking minute trying to worry about which way I should go and what should I do. You figure it out for me. And that was a hardcore conversation that I finally had with the Lord. And you know what? God is so good. Is he not? And what happened next is that I waited on the Lord like I said I would. It wasn't very long after I was called into the office, and they said, Julie, shut the door. And what they thought was going to be a really bad thing wasn't, when they said, the company's moving to Mexico. And God's icing on that cake for me was, we can't do it without you. We'd like to offer you a 2-year deal. Stay with the company, move all of the equipment to Mexico for us, and we're going to drop this nice little package into your checking account at the end of 2 years.
Wow.
And allowed for me to build up Suitcase Dreams. Allowed for me to have what I needed to feel secure about it. I remember going into the office and calling my husband, and I said, honey, the company's moving to Mexico. And it was silent on the end of the phone. And he said, well, what are we going to do? I said, I am going to move forward and never look back, because I know, beyond a shadow of doubt, that this is what I was waiting on. And I never did look back. And suddenly things started to really change for me when I started to realize, you know what, God really is there. And if I would only listen to him and wait on him, it would be such a great thing.
Right.
Suddenly my husband was able, after all years, to be able to get his own insurance at work. And some insurance for me, because that's a big thing when you go into business for yourself. Suddenly, all of the things that I worried about just started to change rapidly in my life. We started to have a weight loss journey together, my husband and I. After I left the job, the very Sunday after I left the job, I come around the couch in the living room, dressed up, looking good, y'all. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to church. He said, why? We never go to church. We've been Sunday morning Christians all our lives. We were there for Easter, we were there for Christmas, we were there for the big stuff. But, we were living it our way. I said, I'm going to church because God took all the reasons why away from me. I'm not tired anymore. I'm not burning the candle at both ends anymore. I used to say, I'm not going to church. I've been working 6 days. I ain't got time for church. I've been in church ever since I left the factory. And I want you to know that the biggest thing, my mama, bless her soul, just could not stand a cuss word out of my mouth. As a Christian woman, raised her children in a church, and I'm out there hooting and hollering with the best of them. And she used to pray, God, Lord, please take it away. And I prayed so hard to God to clean me up. Let me be who I want to be now. Please, let's do this together. It took about 3 weeks. And I don't cuss. I do not like to hear cuss words. I try so hard to stay around it, and I have a child that once in a while cusses. Do you want to know why she cusses? Because she was raised with a mama who cusses. And she's living her life her way currently, and I can only pray every day that she will see the change that I have made, and that she will learn that it's better to do it God's way and not my way. So, as it continues, now we're into the Suitcase Dreams. I'm taking people everywhere, all over the country. Miss Kathy's heard this testimony a few times, and she came up to me and said, I got this little group at church called Joy. I said, well, what is that? I've not heard of it before. I thought it was such a neat thing. She said, I'd really like you to come talk and speak to the group. Well, I'm used to speaking about trips. And she said, no, I want you to tell your testimony. God is so good. I never thought I'd be standing here telling that. So thank you for having me. And I want to tell you that now I live my life with this idea. When I walk into a room, I walk in as God has sent me. When you're standing there looking at me, I hope you see him standing next to me. I want to live my life for the Lord because I did do it my way for so long. And I cannot tell you how great my life has changed since I have given it all to him. You cannot outdo God. You know, my mom used to say to me, Julie, you've got to tithe. You've got to tithe. You know, you need to be in church and you need to be tithing, because I'd be going through all these financial things. And I used to say, Mom, I'm blowing tires on the highway because I can't afford new tires. I can't make my bills. I'm the queen of payment arrangements. What do you mean tithe? What is this tithe? And she said to me, you will never outgive God. And I never understood that until I actually began to tithe. And when money comes into my household, I don't care what it's from. I don't care if it's from a yard sale. It is tithed upon, because I believe 100% you cannot outgive God. And the tires last longer. It gets you where you need to be. Everything, you know, it's just a different life. And that's why when I started out, I said to you the last 50, I turned 50 right before we leave for the Ark Encounter. Show of hands, how many are going on the Ark Encounter with me? God bless you, that's wonderful. We're going to have a great time together. And so I'm going to be 50 on December 1st. And when I was driving here today, it really is when it hit me that the next 50, I just can't imagine what they'll be like with God in my pocket. Isn't that wonderful? But I will talk a little bit about Suitcase Dreams and the trips as well. Suddenly, they're filling up so quickly that I have barely anything to offer. I wonder why that is. I'd like to think it's because as long as he keeps filling the seats, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And when I'm not in church on a Sunday because I'm on the road, I bring church to the road. We do worship, we sing, we praise, we have a good time together, don't we? But I just wanted to tell you today what a blessing it is to, even though I walked down that aisle at such a young age and believed I was saved, but was not living my life in that way, what a great thing it is to finally understand when a person says to me that they have a relationship with the Lord, because guess what? The only relationship I care about in my life is the one I have with the Lord. Every single day, I pray through it. I don't care what it's about. I don't care if it's money, the drive out here, the food, or doggone that pumpkin dump cake. Let me tell you, he's got his hands in everything, doesn't he? God is good. Thank you so much for letting me come here today and share that with you. And I'm going to stick around for those of you that are going to be on the Ark. Please come back and see me. For those of you that are interested at all in my journey with the Lord or with Suitcase Dreams, of course I have things back here for the couple trips that we have some availability on. But again, God is so good, and as long as he keeps me doing this and those seats full, I think that's where I'm supposed to be, y'all. Amen. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.